Donald Logan, you're saying the Solo X18's old school cannot handle 10,000 watts. To be honest with you, with how they used to rate drivers back in the day compared to maybe how they do so now, like just not the industry standard, but like the bass head standard is like, I honestly think two different things, to be honest with you. Before it was like, okay, this old Solo X, the 18, was a 5,000 RMS driver. That's not 5,000 watts at a sine wave for 5-10 minutes. Maybe it might make that long, but still it wasn't rated to do that. It was rated to put on a 5,000 watt RMS amplifier, and within reason, you're going to have a little bit of rise and you're going to create less power. So you're going to be seeing 2 to 3 to maybe 4,000 watts at the most. And that's how they rated amplifiers and subwoofers for the longest time. And I still feel like they do that today, but with the big bass head stuff, they want to know how much power it can take on a continuous sine wave, aka rebase music, playing test tones, what have you. How long can it take that consecutively? Pretty much almost forever. And the new L7X, yes, it can take that 2,000 watts continuously, and it's a smaller coil. It's a smaller coil, which is the craziest thing. It's a smaller coil, 3-inch coil instead of 3.5. And no problem, Donald. And that's any driver, man. Could it take 10,000 peak at a burp? Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I've not every single kicker subwoofer, but they will take a lot more than their RMS on a burp. And I feel like even at 10K, with the right enclosure, can that 3.5-inch coil handle that for a burp? Couple seconds? 100%. Got a good question here. The car audio channel. Why does Kicker put polyfill in their enclosures? Very good question. To be honest with you, that polyfill is not exactly what a lot of people think it is, where it's to make the box act like or make the speaker think the box is bigger. Which in some kind of situations you might get a response like that with enough polyfill. And are the pros of that worth the cons of, lowering your output? And it all depends the situation. But with the polyfill, with the just ported enclosures from Kicker, that is to help a little bit with standing waves. And to be honest with you, to be real, is like, it just sounds better. I've taken it out and I got a little hair louder on the meter. It was like a 0.3, 0.5 solid dB gain, but the box had a little bit of a different sound to it. Not a hollow sound, but something like that if I could try to compare it. So why is it in there? To make it sound better. To make it sound better. Let's see. Kip's explanation of why there is sound cotton dampening stuff in the enclosures. Ashley, see my previous post. Poly works in all box designs. In ported designs, you typically use that instead of loose fill to keep it or off the port. And there is different polyfill. I've learned that a little bit with, polyfill I think is just a brand, but just poly with fish filter floss. I've tried that. It kind of works. It kind of works, and I've only used it in sealed boxes myself with that old school CVR 0315 that I have, and it was only 1.8 cubes, and like the resonance was like 45 hertz. Like it wanted to play that and fell off pretty fast. And when I put the poly in there, and I'm telling you, I put a lot of poly in it, like stuffed, and I had to pull some out because I'm like, no, no. Pulled a little bit out, but it was stuffed pretty good. And it gave a little bit, it would dip down lower, but it wasn't, quote, louder at those frequencies it used to be, but it had a little bit better of a roll-off. And that might just be the placebo effect, but who knows? I don't know, man. There's guys out there that could tell you, and I think I could, with the meter. I think that could actually show that, but you would have to watch watt for watt. Maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know. Baba is nuts. Thank you, Baba. You got me dancing. I'm tripping over everything in here. I wish Kicker would do a pre-order, but at the same time, man, it's like everyone would be like, hey, where's the pre-order at? Just in case the date didn't work out, because unforeseen things happen. And that's just, everybody's dealing with it. And kicker, they make sure it's right. They don't want something going out the door and it's not the way they want it to be. Not really cool with loud woofers, though. Haha, I like my hearing. Thank you very much, Garrison, too. Yeah, you know, I love that. Just thought that bass heads coming down the street are all deaf. Wait, what was that? I heard something. Really what we have is just below 40 hertz hearing loss. And whenever we go and talk to somebody, it's perfectly fine. But when we sit in a 140 dB system, it's not as loud as it used to be. It just seems like that. If you're going to go deaf from loud stereos, more often than not, and a lot easier, is from higher frequencies, especially within the 1 to 4,000 hertz range, which is where your ears are very, like, literally tuned at, like their range that they pick up the easiest, and they don't need much loudness to work that well, just like how your enclosure works and how everything resonates in your ear and just whatever. That's why it's funny that when you talk, it's around 1 to 4,000 hertz. Science or creation, call it as you will, it's pretty crazy. And that, if you play too much too loud, aka your mid-range, your vocals in your doors, that will make you go deaf a heck of a lot quicker than a 160 dB car at 20 to 45 hertz. I'm sorry, it's just not, and our ears don't even perceive that bass and as they would if it was 140 dBs at 1,000 hertz. That's why when you see those charts of dB threshold and pain threshold for your ears, that's not below 40 hertz. It's not. It's high. But hey, I appreciate you watching the content. Hope I could at least get you maybe to buy a kicker system that sounds good, that won't make you go deaf. Hey, Garrison, there we go. Look at that. That's fair. I'm not trying to make fun or be rude. No, you're fine, man. You're fine. I like comments like that because you're not the only one that thinks that, and I just like to address it. I mean, we're live. That's what we do. We have fun. I'm just ultra careful with my hearing loss since I'm a musician, and my hearing is super important to me. Sorry if I can't. No, you're fine, man. You're fine. And I just like to just go on that because a lot of people think that. Whenever like I see them in person and they see what I do, but they are not into what we do, aka like family or just friends, they're like, how can you still hear? How is your back hatch glass not broken? I'm like, it's not like that in both of those. And I can actually hear really good. I think I have better hearing than Kayla. And it's like, I listen to this stuff loud, but I listen to what could damage my ears within reason. You know, and that's really the big deal, and especially when you're a musician and you're listening for certain cues and you have to be able to hear, you know, and not have deaf points in your hearing. Yeah, you don't want to play it too loud. Again, it's the vocals, man. The 6-inch speakers, the 6x9s, the loudspeakers, the super tweeters. Those are dangerous. It's not the woofers, the bass coming down the block. It's just, to make that give you serious ear damage, I think what's going to happen is, before you have any kind of, quote, hearing loss, is you're going to rupture your eardrum, where it's just too much pressure, point blank, period. And that's the main issue with just SPL and those lower frequencies. It's not really hurting all the little hairs in your ears of how you hear, but it's just going to hurt your eardrum, aka your passive radiator inside your head, and that's gonna just, it's gonna rip this around. No, thank you, man. This is what I do. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here, and you guys are awesome, man. Catch the Livin Loud with Andy show every Tuesday and Friday, 8:30 or 10 o'clock Eastern. Smash the like and subscribe.